Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the 3 Minute Horror Show. My name is Ben. You already know me. And this over here, and I'm pointing the right way this time because now I'm good at this, is Brandon Reines. He's an Edmonton filmmaker. He runs the channel Brandon vs. Movies, and he's responsible for films such as Grotesque and I'm Haunted, that is on Found TV, and Grotesque is on Tubi. So, Brandon and I have done a lot of these things together so far. We've done Halloween, we've done Friday the 13th, we've done Nightmare on Elm Street, we've done Hostel. We're doing Child's Play too. And now we're all going to do Hatchet on my channel. So, Hatchet movies are interesting. And we're going to start, there are four of them, okay? So, there's Hatchet 1, Hatchet 2, and Hatchet 3. And Hatchet 1 through 3 are interesting in the respect that each one takes place exactly 1 minute after the last one ended. So they're all lumped together. They all occur within the span of a couple of days. These first two movies, although it's quite a few years between them for real in real life. They all take place in the manner of a couple of days, and then the fourth one, Victor Crowley, takes place several years later. I think it's 10 years later. But today we're going to talk about the first one, Hatchet from 2006, and these were all written and directed by Adam Green. Brandon, what do you think of this?
This was my very first exposure to Hatchet. I'd heard a lot
Yeah.
about him. I knew of them. I knew of Adam Green. I've even seen interviews with him. I just,
Yeah.
for some reason, never got around to actually watching them until the last couple of days.
Mhm.
So this is my first time, and I should correct you just so you don't make a
Okay.
mistake like you did on
Uh-oh.
our Child's Play. I'm pretty sure. I think it was part two, or was it part three that was not directed by Adam Green. There
Oh,
was
okay.
one that he wrote but did not direct. Pretty sure.
Uh-oh. I made
Um,
another mistake. I love making
unless
mistakes.
unless I'm wrong this time. But I'm pretty sure I checked that, and I was like, oh, I thought you did them all, but no.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Anyways, so this is my first time ever seeing them, and yeah, I can see why they're good. Like, there's
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff. The first one, I'd say, like, very very good. It was awesome. Some of the most brutal, imaginative, awesome kills ever. It's the kind of thing that with a bigger budget we could have done made a grotesque Mildred Moyer kills more like that. We were just way more limited with what we could do.
Yeah.
But they were like, holy shit, like they were pretty brutal. And overall, like, yeah, definitely an enjoyable movie.
So Adam Green must have made friends in the right places when he started out because he got involved with some pretty heavy hitters with this, with the special effects, with John Michael Buchler, I believe, is one of the guys. I don't know how you say his last name, but he got introduced to people like Robert Englund and Tony Todd and people who you see in these movies and Kane Hodder all through the people that he got involved with doing the effects, which is really cool because these movies are absolutely full of cameos. They're horror movies, or it's a slasher movie made by a fan of slasher movies, and not in the respect that Glenn Danzig made his movies. Like these are actually good. Um, so there are lots of nods to other horror series. They're self-referential. Adam Green does a cameo in all of them, including number three. That even if he didn't direct it, or he does play drunk guy in most of them, who just appears. He may even be the same drunk guy because of the way that these movies run together. Like he may be the same guy, the same drunk guy who is found at Mardi Gras in the first one, and it's kind of like at Mardi Gras still in the second one, and then gets picked up by the cops and is in the police station in the third one. I believe that that's probably what it is. But these are the stories of a character named Victor Crowley, who is played by Kane Hodder, the long-standing Friday the 13th Jason actor. So I'll give you the backstory on Victor Crowley before we get into it. It happens a little bit later in the story that you actually hear about how this guy came about, but I'll tell you guys right now. So Victor Crowley was a disfigured young boy, and he was teased and bullied, and no, everybody made fun of him because that's what people used to do to people who had physical deformities and people who were physically disabled. Back in the old, I mean, it probably still happens now in some places. People are more accepting now for the most part, but it probably still happens now. But this guy lived in a shack in the swamp with his father, and his father was also played by Kane Hodder. So in the parts where you see the father and Victor Crowley at the same time, it's not Kane Hodder playing Victor Crowley. It's his partner. I saw that in an interview. But so what happens is one day, some terrible young children are firing fireworks into this shack to scare Victor, to torment Victor, and they accidentally set the shack on fire. And so what happens is his father runs home, sees the shack on fire, and he's trying to get his son free. And so he's chopping through the wooden door with a hatchet, and he accidentally chops Victor in the head, killing him. And so this character, Victor Crowley, is a vengeful spirit that haunts the area of the swamp that they lived in. Every night he's reborn. So it doesn't matter. Like if you kill him on Tuesday, he's going to be reborn on Tuesday night. Or if you kill him on Tuesday night, he'll be reborn on Wednesday. And he just comes back and he brutally kills anyone who comes into his territory. And that's the premise of this movie. What do you think
Yeah,
about that?
it's a pretty simple premise,
Yeah.
but it works. And I think
Hmm.
Victor Crowley is a cool character. He looks good. He's just he honestly he looks like Jason without the mask. He's just a
Yeah.
big hulking deformed guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk. He just kind of growls and yells. But yeah, and he's brutal. And it's a simple enough premise, but you don't need anything more beyond that. And then we just have a group of people on a tour, like a boat tour of the swamp. The boat crashes. They get off and they're like, "Oh no, we're in Victor Crowley's territory."
Yeah.
And he slowly picks them off one by one throughout the night. Now, I like this movie a lot. I think one of its drawbacks is when it's trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And I don't remember it being so much of a thing, or maybe it was because the comedy was different, but it seems to be like a newer thing where they tried to have different characters try to be funny.
Yeah.
They did have kind of comedic stuff in the 80s, but maybe it wasn't the same. Or I didn't notice it as much. But I hate, especially the tour boat captain guy.
Yeah.
Like he's just so like everything he's saying is just he's being an idiot, trying to be funny. They have all these other characters cracking jokes, and it's just not funny. It was kind of irritating me.
Yeah.
Whenever they got serious and we're doing horror movie, it's like, wow, this is an awesome movie. So it's like just stop trying to be funny. Like it's not. I don't know. I just even in the second one they did not quite as bad, but a little
Yeah.
bit of it. Their stupid jokes kind of take me out of it, and I don't
Mhm.
think they're necessary.
This one, I kind of had to look at it as a product of its time because it was mid 2000s and it was a very mid 2000s movie. To give you an idea, the whole thing starts with a Marilyn Manson song, Marilyn Manson, the song The New Shit, and a Mardi Gras boob flashing scene, montage. So it's like a Girls Gone Wild era thing, where this movie was made. And that's probably what they thought was cool at the time. It's like kind of mid 2000s edgelord stuff and edgelord humor at the same time. So there were a lot of forced, very inappropriate jokes. And like you said, it's not going to be as funny as it would have been then. But I was able to kind of divorce myself from that mindset as the movie progressed. Once it got into the action, I was like, okay, I can forget about all these guys making their crass jokes and talking the way that they do and all that sort of thing, because it really did pick up. To give you an idea of how much of a mid 2000s movie this is, the star is Joel David Moore, that guy who wanted to from Grandma's Boy, who wanted to be a robot. He's the whole star of the whole movie. And where do you see that guy now?
from it's from Dodgeball too. He was
Yeah, he was in Dodgeball.
yeah nerdy
I,
guy Dodgeball.
he was also on Bones. Like he was on that TV show Bones as one of the interns, and he took place in the cringiest television episode of all time, folks. And I'm talking right to the camera now because I want you to know that when James Cameron's first movie, Avatar, his first Avatar movie came out, they did an entire episode of Bones about it when they were all gushing about how wonderful the movie is going to be and how it's going to change everyone's lives and Western civilization is going to be elevated by the movie Avatar. And guess what? That's stupid. And he was one of the characters that was involved in that nonsense. So, yeah. But yeah, A little bit more background on Adam Green. He created a cable TV series called Holliston in 2012. He does seem to be a horror comedy guy because that was a comedy show. It was a half-hour horror comedy sitcom that featured Dee Snider from Twisted Sister and Dave Brockie from Gwar playing his Otis Youngest character, which unfortunately, after Dave Brockie died in 2014, the show went on an indefinite hiatus. And I don't know if he's ever come out and said that it's not going to come back, but it's been over 10 years. It's not going to come back at this point in time. And that's
Yeah,
unfortunate. Hmm.
you mentioned the Marilyn Manson song. I noticed
Yeah.
these movies. I haven't seen Victor Crowley yet, the fourth movie,
Yeah.
but this one had the opening song, Marilyn Manson. The next
Yeah.
one is Ministry, and then
Just
the
one
third one is
fix. Yeah.
War. So I was like,
Yeah.
one good thing is like, wow, these movies really have a good soundtrack to them,
Yeah.
especially right at the opening.
Yeah. So like it fits that it's a guy who has musical taste that fit Brandon's and mine. So
Yeah,
so that's pretty good. Like that's a pretty good thing. Another thing is like the very first scene before any of this happens, Robert Englund walks into the screen and you're like, what the hell is Robert Englund doing in this
yeah,
movie? It's by this guy that nobody's ever heard of. Robert Englund and one of the guys from the Blair Witch Project are hunting in the swamp and they get decimated. Like they get absolutely taken apart by a mysterious figure that we don't see. We find out later that it's Victor Crowley, of course, but like when I first watched this movie, I was not expecting Mortal Kombat fatality level kills, and that's what we got here. Like they were crazy.
yeah. These are like yeah, this is brutal. It was I can see. I wonder, is that the main reason these movies became so popular? Because there's a lot of slasher movies that
Yeah,
kind of fell under the radar. These ones, story wise, if you ignore the kills, I don't think they're any more spectacular than a lot of the others.
yeah.
But I think it's just the level of brutality with the kills and the creativeness behind them that maybe that's the reason that these movies were so popular.
I think that it's partially that. I think that it's also partially the humor, maybe not so much in this one, but how it grows over time, because they do get funnier as they go too. And one thing that we're going to talk about as we go forward is Perry Shen, the guy that plays the tour guide that Brandon was talking about before, plays a different character in almost every movie. He's the same one in three and four, but he's a different character. In the first one, he's the tour guide and he's doing a fake Asian accent, like a really, really fake, obvious fake accent. And then the second one, he's that guy's brother and he comes out and says, "Yeah, my brother's accent's fake," you know, because we're from right around here, which was funny. And then he comes back as a different guy in the third one and says, "Wait a minute, you look like this other guy over here." And he says, "What? Just because I'm Asian?" And in reality, it's the same actor, and it's very funny. I thought that was clever, and they do have a lot of callbacks throughout it as well. We'll get into it as we go, but the belt sander comes back in every single iteration of this movie. The belt sander is a constant. I think that there's just a lot of things that he puts together that aren't necessarily funny on their own, but when it's the Saturday Night Live effect, when you just keep calling it back, it gets funnier as you go. If they kept doing it, it would get less funny. But then the Saturday Night Live thing is do it again, and then it comes funny again, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Another thing I really liked about this movie that you mentioned, or I guess in
yeah,
the sequels, we'll get into when we get into that one,
yeah,
is the fact that they pick up right after the second
yeah,
the last one did. And this the first one, I was kind of surprised. It just kind of ended.
yeah,
Like it looked like it ended, and then oh, Victor Crowley's back, and he attacks them again, and then it just kind of stopped.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I was
You're
like,
like,
yeah,
oh
I
no,
guess
what happened?
there's other movies that do that. I'm like, okay, that was still pretty cool. But the
Yeah,
next movie, it starts off basically like from that same shot. It just
yeah.
continues. It's like you could even put part one, two together into one seamless movie. So I was like, oh, that's pretty
You
cool.
can almost. There's one difference.
Well, yeah, one big difference with the cast.
One big difference, yeah.
And of course, in the first one, they have, as we've seen before, in Friday the 13th, they have the hunter character. There's a young woman who's turns out her dad and brother were
Yeah,
Robert Englund and his son in the
yeah,
opening scene that got killed. She's going back to the swamp to figure out what the hell happened to him because they went hunting out on a boat and were never seen again.
yeah.
So she's there to figure out what happens, and she's the one that knows the history of Victor Crowley. So she
Hmm.
tells the others like, we're in his territory, and
Yeah.
watch out, he's going to kill us all, which kind of makes you wonder why she went back in the first place.
Yeah.
But she did, and then the movie happened.
Yeah. Pretty good too. The reason why these people are on this tour boat run by a ding dong, run by a guy who doesn't know what he's doing, is because they initially tried to go on a tour run by the Reverend Zombie, who's played by Tony Todd, like the Candyman Tony Todd. But he's not allowed to run tours anymore because of liability, because he got sued. So he hands it off to this guy, Sean. And the group that goes on this tour is actually, it's a pretty stacked tour group for the most part. We got Bill Murray's younger brother, Joel, who plays a pornographer who's trying to make a Girls Gone Wild video out there with two models. We've got Joel David Moore and his friend, whose name I cannot remember right now. But he's like the funny black guy, right? And we've got a married couple, and I remember his name this time because remember when we were doing Halloween, and I was like, this security guard is played by this guy, and I should remember what this guy's name is. And he's an older, heavier guy, and he's got a big mustache and stuff. His name is Richard Reel, and he is that guy. So he was in Halloween, Rob Zombie Halloween 2 as the security guard at the hospital. He's in this movie too. Him
And
and his wife.
he was the jump to conclusions Matt guy in Office Space.
Yes, he was that guy too. Um, and so it's these are the people, and then Mary Beth, who is the hunter girl who's on the trip with them. So they're the people who are going on this swamp tour. And I read that initially, Richard Reel and the older couple, the older married couple, were supposed to be racist, but it made them too unlikable. So they made them just like super nice people from Minnesota instead.
Yeah, that's a way better.
Yeah, and I think so too. So, like Brandon said, the boat gets crashed. They all have to disembark. The older guy gets bit by an alligator, and he's kind of injured, and so they have to find out what they're gonna do. So they find the shack, and the shack it's the Crowley shack, and Mary Beth tells the story at this point in time. I told the story already, so it's just what we heard before. It's that Victor Crowley was this deformed kid, and he was accidentally killed by his dad. Now he's a ghost that wanders the swamp, and everybody's like, "What are you talking about? That's stupid. Ghosts aren't real." And then in order to punctuate that, as soon as they're like, yeah, ghosts aren't real, he comes out and he starts and he murders the two old people as they go towards the shack. Like super turbo murders them. And I'm used to putting clips in these videos. I'm going to have to describe the kills here because I can't put this stuff on YouTube and not get in trouble. There are channels out there that put kills, that put really gruesome, gory kills on their YouTube videos and don't get in trouble somehow. No idea how that happens. I'm not going to play with fate. Okay? So, what he does, I wrote it down. He chops right through the old guy, like right directly through him. Okay? And then the woman, the older woman, he grabs her by the jaw and rips her head apart at the jaw joint. It's insane. He like grabs her head, tears it right apart, tears that top part off. I even watched a video on how they did it. It's crazy. They do a little turn, and in when he's doing that turn, they swap the actress out with, and it's one continuous shot. They do a little sneaky jump shot. They do a little sneaky cut there, where he's doing the turn, and they swap her out with a dummy, and then he rips the dummy's head right off.
And you see her tongue flopping around in there and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
it's
pretty gruesome.
gnarly. Everything in this movie is gnarly. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be able to show you some bits of this movie, but nothing to do with the kills. And this movie is mostly kills towards the end. Just so that you know. What did you think when you saw that stuff?
I was quite surprised. I've seen a lot of slasher movies, and I was like, wow, yeah, they really pushed it here. But it looked so cool. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
were well done. I mean, ignoring the just the brutality of the violence, like they're actually um, pretty, not pretty. They were excellently executed. Like it's like, wow, that is
Yeah.
top notch special effects. And I noticed I had not seen this movie before, but I did one of the kills in Grotesque 2 with where they put the shovel up to someone's head and then stomp on it to cut their head
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
That wasn't Grotesque 2. They just had a bit more money for their version, but yeah, all the kills were cool. They
Yeah.
do start later in the movie. It seemed like there was no boring parts of this movie. It seemed to
Yeah.
get into it quickly, but really the kills, like after the opening scene, they don't really start till like beyond the halfway point.
Yeah, I think it's mostly, I think they start at like the 50-minute mark.
Yeah, it didn't seem like that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like there's no boring parts, but
Yeah.
once the kills start, it's like it's just nonstop for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. It's nonstop. The pornographer guy tries to run away. He runs directly into Victor Crowley and he turns his head completely around. And then he pulls it off. So he turns his, it completely spins his head around and then rips it off. Um, there's a belt sander kill, and remember the belt sander kills because I was talking because the belt sander keeps coming back. Oh my God, the belt sander. He takes it to one of the model's lower jaw and completely eliminates her lower jaw, and she's not dead. And so she's just like, and she's got nothing here. It's just meat. And it's so crazy. Oh my God. Oh
Yeah,
God.
there was a lot of I was just and as soon as I realized what I was in for, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, if they're willing to do that, like what are we in for next? And yeah, they don't let up. It's very very well done. Once they get beyond like the first half of the movie was stupid comedy that was irritating me.
Yeah.
Once I got into the kills, it's like, oh, okay, now I'm like this. I'm like I'm on board for the ride now. Like this
Yeah.
is it's uh it's very very well done.
Yeah. It's like all the best parts of a Friday the 13th movie, but gorier and gnarlier and all packed into like the last 20 minutes of this movie or last half hour of this movie. And it's really good. Everybody dies with the exception of the hunter, Mary Beth, who we don't know if she's dead at the end of this one because, like Brandon said, she is being grabbed by Victor Crowley. He's screaming in her face, and then the movie just ends like that, like just a finger snap. No happy ending. It's Joel David Moore is laying in a boat with his arm ripped off, and he's bleeding out, and she's getting screamed in her face by Victor Crowley. Because they did another cool thing with this one is she gets trapped underwater for for a little bit, and then she's swimming up towards the boat, and then an arm comes down to grab her, and it's Joel David Moore's arm. But as she gets closer, it's Victor Crowley holding the severed arm of that dude to fool her to get her to lure her in, and that was really cool too.
Yeah, yeah, that was quite surprising. I did
Yeah,
think that they were going to both get away for a minute, but no such
yeah.
luck.
So, having watched just this one, like after you watched the first one, what were you like, oh my God, how is there a sequel? What's going on? It must be all new people or something, right?
Yeah, I would like if I had to guess, I would just
Yeah,
assume that the next one was years later, a different
yeah,
group of people come back. They do this in every other slasher movie. That's what I was expecting to happen.
yeah,
I wasn't expecting them to do what they did.
yeah. All right. So, what do you think of this one overall?
I'd give it, I'd say 7.5.
Okay.
Like I would give it higher for the horror killer slasher stuff, the effects.
Hmm.
But I have to like dock it some just for the stupid comedy that just really irritated me. But
Yeah,
it comes together into it's forgivable, and I give it like 7.5 or something. It's definitely a really good movie.
yeah. If I had to rank the last 40 minutes alone, or last half hour, 40 minutes, however long that was alone, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
But as the sum of its parts, I have to give it a 6 overall. The first one, because there is so much mid 2000s nonsense, anti-political correct humor, like just edgy edgelord stuff. Everybody's gross at the beginning. It's like one of the Rob Zombie movies at the beginning.
yeah.
Everybody behaves terribly, you know?
That's a way to put it. Like, is everyone
Yeah,
behaves gross, and I'm just
yeah,
sick of it. It's like they think that like everything's funny. Like, oh,
yeah,
if you're just like huge like misogynistic
yeah,
sexual pervert guy, that's hilarious. They
yeah,
even probably thought, hey, let's have a guy who's super racist. That'll be funny.
yeah,
It's like no, that's not funny. Like
yeah,
it. I'm glad that that's not done as much as it used
yeah,
to be because it's real, especially when they mix that in with just like annoying comedy
yeah,
like especially that boat guy, like everything he says is just obnoxious, and
yeah,
they're like, he's super annoying and loud. He's
yeah.
funny, and it's like, man, no, it's not. Just get rid of all that stuff.
I'm glad that we have stand-up comedians in this day and age, like Ron Funches, who have proven that you can be hilarious without being racist, sexist, or just gross, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So I give it a 6. Brandon gives it a 7.5, I believe it was. And that brings us to the end of Hatchet, the first Hatchet. Now we're going to come back to do Hatchet 2. And Hatchet 2, things kind of take off. They kind of ramp up a little bit. There's a lot more added to it, and we'll get into that in the next episode. So please join us then. Remember to subscribe to Brandon, Brandon versus Movies. Subscribe to me while you're at it. You can hear more conversations like this. I'll give you a little peek at how the sausage is made here. After we're done Hatchet on this channel, we're going to be doing Leprechaun. And Leprechaun's going to be nuts, right? And we're doing Child's Play for Brandon's channel right now, so you can hear all about Chucky and all of his business. And so please subscribe to both of us, enjoy our content, and we'll see you on the next one.